Let's get back to talking about some of the lessons from the presidential election. How much impacts did the pain and anguish in the land arising from the Naira redesign and crippling fuel scarcity have on turnout and pattern of voting? Do you think the opposition benefited from this?
Well, I think it's reasonable to think so. Like I said, I think political scientists or analysts will tell us over time. But I think it's reasonable to think that a lot of people will blame our government of APC for actually coming up with those policies. And some people, of course, they have difficulty. People couldn't withdraw money. Their money is actually in the bank and they couldn't get it out. So it's possible to say that a lot of people did not come out to vote because of that. It's possible. But like I said, I think analysts, people that actually look at these things will tell us, but, given these situations, given some of the, lack of fuel for months, currency redesign, and the various hardship that comes with it, for a candidate to still win, it tells you that, Nigerians actually listened to his message and they were able to put aside all those challenges. Because the truth is that it was difficult. And therefore, for a candidate to ultimately win, means that if those policies were not in place, it's possible that the margin will be wider for our candidate. So we are thankful, and then we are sure that by March 11, that the margin for us in APC in Lagos will be very, very wide.
All right. But to put this in proper perspective, was this Naira redesign necessary in the first place?
Well, so, the central bank gave us some reasons, some of them not economic. They said, first of all, that they want to discourage kidnapping and all this ransom thing. So that's not economic. So, well, I think that's reasonable. If in truth, it can actually limit all those people destroying other people's lives. So that makes sense. But they also said that it will reduce counterfeiting. So if the new Naira is more secure in terms of counterfeiting, then that makes sense. But like I said, scientists will look at that and determine whether that is correct or not. But they also said that we have too much money in circulation or that is outside of the bank. That's an area where I have a disagreement. The total value or the total money that is in our system in Nigeria is about 51 trillion, 52 trillion Naira. And according to CBN, we have only about 3 trillion out there. So if you look at that, that's less than 10%. For a country of a population of 200 million, for a country of this size, if you look at other countries that are actually cashless, like Japan, the United States, Japan is very high. It's about 20% of money in circulation compared to total money. And in the United States, they said it's about 12%. So, that's an area where, for me, it's a bit tough. And that's probably why we saw the hardship that we saw. Because there are a lot of people in this country that don't even use the bank. In some states, based on some scene, only 18% of women in some states have bank accounts. So what happens to those 82% that don't have bank accounts? So I think we need to look at all these factors before we make this decision. And like somebody just said, Mr. Peter, Atedo Peters, I just said it's not currency redesign, but currency confiscation. So, but I think even if the intent is good, we must all agree that the implementation was not very great, and a lot of people went through a lot of hardship. So I think that's the lesson that I think CBN should take on board and try to improve on it so that at least Nigerians can be happy and be able to spend their resources the way they like.
All right, away from that, I know Lagos remains the only state that introduced palliatives to cushion the effect of fuel and Naira scarcity on residents. What informed this decision?
Well, for us, it's always very important to make sure that our citizens don't suffer any hardship. Some of these things are beyond us. So, for example, we did it during COVID. COVID was a worldwide event, and we just realized that a lot of people who actually make money on a daily basis were not able to make any money. And therefore, what can we do to cushion the effect of that hardship? So the same thing, the moment we saw that a lot of people will be going through this hardship, we decided that what can we do? So we said a lot of people take public transportation within our sphere, and we have the cowrie cards that allowed us to know how many people enter our buses on a daily basis. So we said, why don't we do a reduction of that 50% so that at least we are able to monitor it. We know how many people come in, how many people goes out, because they tap in and they tap out. So we are able to reconcile that at the end of the day, and therefore we can pay the balance to the operators. So, and then we thought it's also important for people to have some food, and therefore we are lucky that we have our rice mill, and therefore we started sending rice, and then we work with other companies to produce all this food combo that has all sorts of semovita, spaghetti, and so on and so forth within a box, and then distribute to people that are less privileged, and so that at least we can cushion the effect of people not being able to have access to their money from their banks. And we thought it's something that is important for us so that the people in the society that don't have the ability can actually live their lives without too much stress. So that was what informed it, and I hope that a lot of people benefited from it, and that it cushions some of the effect of this hardship.
Great. Your Excellency, let's talk about the Blue Line Rain. Since this project was inaugurated by the President in January, much has not been seen about it. Tell us the situation of things.
So a lot is going on. So the students have been taking, different stakeholders, because are taking the train on daily basis based on invitation. So I'm sure they've taken some students, they've taken some market women, the essence is educate people. How do you enter? How do you use because you must have a card, you must have a cowrie card. You swipe it, the turnstile open, you enter. How do you move? The trains are this size. How do you move between? So it's a process. And then, of course, all over the world, you must train, you must test your train for a certain period of time. If you notice, when Dubai was to open, they tested for 6 months without passengers. So just going and coming back, testing, making sure there is no kink, and so on and so forth. So we are testing it and also educating our citizens about the process of usage. How do you use it? So that on the first day of commercial operation, there will be no confusion. There will be no hardship for people to actually take it. So we are taking different stakeholders, different segments of the society, and they are going on rides. I was in Ajegunle on last Friday, and some of the people, youths that were there, said they are just coming back from their own train ride, that they were invited to come and do, and that they gave them the cowrie card. They showed them how to top it up. They showed them how to swipe it. They were able to swipe, and then they went in. So the learning process needs to be out there for people, and that process is going on. And at the same time, the testing is going on, and how do people get out of the station? Because, like we said, this is an electric rail, and therefore there is what is called the third rail, and it's electricity. So how to protect people, make sure they don't touch the rail itself. We've seen people selling on rail lines and so on. This is not a rail line that you can sell on. So those are the type of education that's going on, so that at least everybody understands the benefit that comes with it, and what should be done and what not should be done.
All right. It's also very important for me to let you know, Your Excellency, that many negotiators are not happy with the excesses of LASTMA. And it is believed that they contribute to the anger against the APC. What is being done to reform LASTMA?
Well, I think it's a very interesting discussion. I just came back actually like a few minutes before this interview from interaction with some of the stakeholders on the road. And that same accusation came up. The good thing was that we have the MD of LASTMA was there, and some LASTMA officials, and they could hear it for themselves. Over time, there has been many disciplinary action taken against some staff. So we just need to, again, let them understand their role. The role of LASTMA in Lagos is very important. But excesses are not acceptable. There are things that they should not do. If people are caught, then the right disciplinary action will be taken. So one of the things that we are doing is to look at the rules of engagement again, sit down with LASTMA officials, let them understand it, let them hear these complaints, and let them fish out the bad eggs among themselves. Do your job, help us control traffic, help us move traffic, because in a city like Lagos, there's a lot of traffic, but let us move it. Let us help us and not necessarily constitute yourself into a nuisance, harassing people on the road. So that's not acceptable, that's not their mandate, and therefore we've heard people loud and clear, and they will see changes very, very soon. If people one of the things that we've also said is we will, talking with the general manager, they will open a lot of lines for people to actually complain, but people will see that very soon. But basically, there is a lot of internal training going on within LASTMA now to say, understand your role to serve people and not necessarily to exploit people. If you are caught, these are the consequences. And a lot of people face this differently. A lot of people are dismissed, a lot of people, but we just need to make sure that we do more to let all LASTMA officials understand their role and be able to do what is right for the people, not necessarily harassing them on the road.
Fantastic. It is also great to see that your leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, is now the president-elect. Tell us about the sort of president he will be.
Well, I mean, from my experience, he's a man, is a luminary leader, meaning he is very visionary. And when you are visionary, you are able to project into the future and say, what do we need? And one other thing is he has the ability to pick talents, the right talents, and I'm sure that he will fill his cabinet with the best brains in this land, irrespective of where they come from, irrespective of their gender, and irrespective of their class. So that's one thing that I think he will do. And when you have an assignment as a member of his government, and there are challenges, is one person that will do everything to support you. So he doesn't just give assignment and just leave you on your own. He's able to support, and that's what you need in a president, to be able to make sure that you have the vision. This is where we are going. Map out how do we get there and get the right people that can take us there. And if they have challenges, we are able to support them. So if you think about that in all spheres, in economy, he has spoken about various things. That one of the things that is contributing to poverty in our land is lack of access to credit. If people have access to credit, not this 22% rate, we need to do something about that. And I'm sure those are the things that we work on. People must have access to credit so that they can buy things without necessarily having cash in their hand. We buy houses like we buy jam and rice. That doesn't make sense. So people must be able to have mortgages so that they can pay over time, 10 years, 15 years, depending on what is suitable for them. So that everybody within certain workers, mechanics, and everybody can buy different types and different scales of houses and be able to fund it, given access to credit. They are spoken about agricultural commodity markets. So we produce all these agricultural products and we don't determine the prices in Africa. He's saying that doesn't make any sense. So that we should be able, as a people, to produce and determine our prices. So we produce cocoa, for example, and that's why the production of cocoa will go down, because the farmers that are producing it don't get the right prices. So we need to bring the commodity markets back. He has spoken about that. He has spoken about education. That if it is a 4-year time, let us spend 4 years for our students. And as such, interaction with lecturers, what do we need to do? There will always be problems. but we must sit down and talk about it and discuss the way forward. So I'm sure we will be engaging unions, ASU, we'll be engaging students so that we can solve this problem. There are problems that ASU needs to solve, there are problems that government needs to solve. So one of the things that I see that will get better is engagement with all stakeholders to make sure that we fix issues, discuss it before it becomes a problem. So it's, like I said, it's a visionary leader and it's somebody that believes in taking actions at the appropriate time. So I'm excited. I pray that God will give him everything that he needs, good health, sound mind, and good people so that they can work and deliver the goods for Nigeria. But I'm excited because I have worked with him at close quarter, and I know he's an intelligent man. He understands finance. Part of the biggest challenge for Nigeria is actually our revenue. We don't have enough revenue for the size of our country. And therefore, it's one of the areas that I'm sure is very, very good at. And if we're able to even resolve that, make sure that we are able to increase the basket. Therefore, a lot of other things can actually come in. Finding a better way to fund our road infrastructure or rail infrastructure, for example, not just using our balance sheet and alone. And that's why it's taking long to finish roads and the rest. So if we're able to find all these financing options to do various projects, our country, our GDP, our economy will get better, people will be more engaged, and as such, Nigeria, all this agitation will come down, and then we can build a country that we will all be proud of. And I'm sure that Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be able to work with his team to make sure that they deliver on their promises for this country. So it's an exciting time.
All right. Your Excellency, with the governorship and state assembly elections just 2 days away, what's your message to Nigerians?
Well, I mean, Lagosians, my message to you, it's we have in APC in Lagos State a government that understands what it takes to run a state of our size with different challenges. As you all know, we occupy a very small size in terms of land in our country, 0.4% of the land mass of Nigeria, but we are catering for about 11% of the Nigerian population. So we are a massive state. We have the biggest population for the smallest land size. So that means our density is huge. But it comes with challenges and then it comes with advantages. So you need a team that understands all the intricacies of managing such size of economy. And Babajide Olusola Sanwo has been our governor for 4 years. I've been our deputy governor for 4 years. And we've been able to move the state forward in different aspects of the economy. We've been able to improve on our academic performances. The last WAEC shows that our children with passes in English and Maths and 5 credits went up dramatically to almost 84%. That's encouraging, but we can move it forward. We're rebuilding schools, we are training teachers, and we are increasing the ability to teach by giving everybody a tablet that allows us to geolocate them to understand why in class 4A, students are doing well in mathematics and not in 4B, because the data is now there. On my laptop, I can see all the attendance of all our children in all primary schools and secondary schools in Lagos State. So we are doing all this. We are doing the metropolitan fiber that I spoke about before. We are building new hospitals. So we have a team that understands that our future is very important. And therefore, we cannot gamble. Lagos State is too important with people that don't have this understanding. They don't have this understanding, and people try to expand the negative about our state and totally don't talk about the positives. And therefore, they think that Lagosians are not intelligent. But Lagosians are intelligent. They know what is good. And my appeal to Lagosians is to go out there on Saturday and vote for our party APC, because we understand what is needed to keep moving Lagos State. People say, oh, what improvement has been done? In 1999, Lagos State has about 9,429 roads. Only about 7% were tarred when Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in. Today, we've done about 49 or 51%, as at 2 months ago that I checked. So we are making progress. At that time in 99, we don't have a single public ambulance. A single public ambulance. Today, we have about 67, given the number, 167, I'm sorry. And then, at the time, we all know the size of garbages on our road. We also know then how people die on the streets. You see dead body all over. All this has been taken away. We are now building, so we've removed all this hardship. We are now building the necessary infrastructure, building our city. People are coming in tons. So we are a victim of our success. People are coming in from other states. So we are lucky now. We have a new president also that will build on Muhammadu Buhari's achievement and expand our economy, keeping people to stay in their various states, so that at least we can continue to manage the architecture and the infrastructure of our state. So my appeal is for Lagosians to look at the achievement of this government and vote for us again, so that we can keep expanding the architecture of our state, we can keep expanding the economic activity of our state, and we can keep expanding the academic credentials of our state, so that our children can compete favorably anywhere in the world where they go. And therefore, I'm appealing that Lagosians should look at all these statistics and all these indices and vote for APC come March 11, 2023.
All right. The show tonight have been discussing the Lagos State governorship election battle with the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for coming on the program. It's indeed a pleasure having you on the program tonight, and we look forward to more conversation with you. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at TVCNewsNG and at Olajumoke00 using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Join us tomorrow for another edition of Politics Tonight. Dig and beyond the headlines. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Goodbye.